Have you ever felt a lingering question in your heart, a sense of longing for something greater, a purpose that you haven't yet discovered? What if I told you that unlocking your divine purpose lies within you, waiting to be revealed? In this video, we will explore the key to uncovering the bigger plan God has for your life. What if I told you that every person on this earth is imbued with a unique purpose, a divine calling meant to be unearthed? If you've yet to identify that purpose, the good news is that there's a straightforward way to guide you toward it. Follow what ignites your soul with the most elevated emotions. Your deepest desires are not mere wishes. They are the seeds God has planted within you, specifically designed to lead you along your life's path. It is by following these elevated emotions, feelings of joy, excitement, love, and gratitude, that you will align yourself with the divine and open the door to a fuller understanding of your purpose. The key to access your divine power starts with recognizing the passions that ignite your spirit and fill you with elevated emotions. As you embark on this journey of self-discovery, consider this important truth. Your most significant task is to maintain that state of elevated emotion for as long as possible. God has instilled within you a sense of passion for a reason. By nurturing it, you foster a deeper connection with Him, enabling you to hear His guidance more clearly and receive the insights meant to illuminate your path. In the next few moments, we will delve into the ways you can actively engage with your desires and transform them into actionable steps toward fulfilling your divine purpose. We'll explore practical exercises to help you identify those passions, while gaining clarity on how to take daily actions that resonate with your spirit. By watching this video all the way to the end, you will uncover powerful tools to help guide you toward recognizing your purpose and embracing the life God has designed uniquely for you. This journey isn't just about finding your purpose. It is about igniting the divine potential that resides within you. Before we begin, I invite you to participate by commenting, "Igniting my purpose." This confirms your commitment to listen for God's voice as you pursue what elevates your spirit. Also, your likes and shares help spread this message, allowing others seeking purpose to discover the divine truths presented here. Congratulations for taking this step. Your willingness to engage in this exploration is a testimony to your heart's desire to connect deeply with God and His plans for you. Many individuals rely on this content for guidance, especially those without a supportive church community nearby. Your participation creates a nurturing space for all seeking spiritual growth and direction. Keep in mind that the second to last lesson in this video could hold the key to unlocking profound insights into your purpose. Now let's embark on this transformative journey to access the bigger plan God has for you. The study begins now. To better understand how to access the larger plan God has for you, let's turn to the biblical account of Jeremiah, found in Jeremiah 1:4-10. This narrative reveals powerful insights into recognizing and embracing our God-given purpose, even in the face of doubt and uncertainty. Jeremiah's journey serves as a profound illustration that each of us is uniquely created for a purpose and called to fulfill God's design. The story begins with God speaking to Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you." Jeremiah 1:5. This statement is a profound declaration of divine intention. It reflects that God has a purpose for each individual, established even before our existence on this earth. Imagine that. Before you took your first breath, God had already envisioned a unique role for you to play in His grand story. As God calls Jeremiah to be a prophet to the nations, we observe the initial response of doubt. Jeremiah replies, "Ah, Lord God, behold, I do not know how to speak, for I am only a youth." Jeremiah 1:6. This hesitation mirrors what many of us experience when we sense God's call upon our lives. We may perceive ourselves as inadequate or fear that others won't take us seriously. How often do we let insecurity hold us back from pursuing our most profound desires and divine purpose? God's response to Jeremiah is reassuring. Do not say, I am only a youth, for to all to whom I send you, you shall go, and whatever I command you, you shall speak. Jeremiah 1:7. God teaches us that our limitations do not hinder his plans. He equips us with the necessary tools and courage to fulfill our calling. This assurance resonates deeply. It reminds us that while we need to recognize our abilities and desires, we cannot let fear nor perceived inadequacy dictate our actions. In Jeremiah's story, we see a direct connection between recognizing one's purpose and the feelings that accompany it. When God calls you to fulfill a role or an aspiration, he ignites a spark within you, what I refer to as an elevated emotion. This emotion is characterized by hope, joy, and excitement, a feeling that reassures you of your connection to the divine. Reflect on this. How do you feel when you contemplate your deepest desires and aspirations? Is there joy, excitement, and peace in your dreams? If so, this is a strong indicator that you are tapping into the essence of your God-given purpose. Conversely, if your dreams evoke anxiety, guilt, or doubt, it may indicate that it is time to reassess those aspirations and seek clarity through prayer and reflection. Moreover, God emphasizes the importance of staying connected to his voice as we pursue our purposes. After reaffirming Jeremiah's calling, he equips him with his words and gives him authority. See, I have set you this day over nations and kingdoms, to pluck up and to break down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. Jeremiah 1:10. As believers, we too are entrusted with a divine mandate to impact the world positively. As you seek to access God's bigger plan, remember that maintaining a connection to your Creator is essential. Surround yourself with prayer, scripture, and fellowship, nurturing the seeds he has planted within you. These practices not only strengthen your relationship with God, but also cultivate an environment where you can discern his voice and guidance more readily. Practically speaking, take time to journal your thoughts, prayers, and dreams. Document moments when you feel that elevated emotion. These notes will become invaluable reminders of your aspirations and God's direction. Whenever doubt creeps, revisit those entries and reflect on the joy you experienced when you envisioned those desires. Furthermore, just as Jeremiah was called to be a prophetic voice, remember that your journey may inspire others. Engage in conversations about your aspirations and share your process of discovering your purpose. Your story may encourage someone else to step into their calling, demonstrating the ripple effect of God's work through you. As we finalize this section, let Jeremiah's experience inspire you to embrace the calling you have been given. Remember that God knows you intimately, having designed your purpose before your birth. By acknowledging your elevated emotions and actively engaging with your divine purpose, you position yourself uniquely to access the bigger plan God has for you. In our next section, we will examine more examples of individuals in the Bible who recognized and acted upon their purpose, showcasing how trusting in God's leading can bring fulfillment and joy. Prepare to be inspired and encouraged as we continue to explore what God has in store for each of us. As we continue to explore how to access the bigger plan God has for you, let us draw inspiration from the remarkable story of Esther, found in the book of Esther. Esther's journey is a powerful testament to how embracing our God-given purpose often requires courage, faith, and a willingness to act upon the passions situated deep in our hearts. Her narrative teaches us about the impact one life can have when it boldly steps into divine destiny. Esther, a Jewish orphan raised by her Cousin Mordecai rises to prominence in a foreign land when she is chosen to be the Queen of Persia. This seemingly fortuitous event masks a much more profound divine purpose that God is weaving through her life. The pivotal moment occurs when Haman, an advisor to the king, plots to annihilate the Jews. Mordecai urges Esther to use her royal position to intervene, famously stating, "And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Esther 4:14. This call to action reveals the first important aspect of recognizing your divine purpose, understanding that you are where you are for a reason. God places desires within your heart that resonate with potential, igniting your spirit in ways that lead you toward fulfilling His larger plan. Esther's elevated emotions of love for her people, a fierce longing to protect them, compelled her to respond to God's calling. Initially, Esther hesitates to approach the king, knowing that doing so without an invitation could lead to grave personal danger. This part of her journey reflects our own fears when faced with stepping into our divine purpose. Often the emotions we feel, dread, anxiety, and doubt, arise when we stand on the precipice of change. However, it's precisely in those moments that we must lean into our elevated emotions, those feelings of conviction and purpose that drive us to act. When Esther decides to approach the king, she prepares herself with fasting and prayer. This pivotal step demonstrates her reliance on God's guidance to empower her actions. Instead of moving forward in her own strength, she submits her fears and desires to God, signaling a critical moment of alignment with His will. The courage Esther displays sets a powerful precedent. When we connect with what ignites our hearts, we cultivate a willingness to take risks in faith. As Esther enters the king's presence and shares her plea, she exemplifies that acknowledging God's hand in our lives equips us to step beyond our comfort zones. Her boldness not only exemplifies trust in God's plan, but embodies a love that overcomes fear. Furthermore, Esther's actions illustrate how aligned purpose leads to communal impact. By choosing to act for the benefit of her people, she becomes an instrumental figure in God's plan for their salvation. This highlights an essential truth. When you pursue what truly ignites you, you profoundly influence others, creating a chain reaction of divine purpose. As you seek to understand and access the larger plan God has for you, consider what passions ignite your spirit, what causes move you to act. Reflect on the emotions that arise when you contemplate these desires. Do they resonate with feelings of excitement, love, and purpose? When we pursue our passions with intention, we align ourselves with God's design, propelling us toward fulfilling His greater plans. Create space in your life for prayer and reflection around your passions. Ask God to reveal how your passions can intersect with His purposes. Journaling about your feelings, dreams, and the desires that stir your heart can shed light on the divine plan awaiting your response. In times of fear or uncertainty, remember Esther's story and how her determination to act transformed not only her life, but also the lives of her entire community. Your courage can similarly shift the tides, embodying the heart of God in more profound ways than you might imagine. As we move forward to the next section, keep in mind that the journey to accessing God's larger plan often involves stepping boldly into the unknown. Trust in the desires He has placed within you, knowing that they connect you to a divine purpose that might lead to extraordinary outcomes. Prepare yourself for further insights into the biblical examples of those who have stepped into their destinies with boldness and faith. As we continue our exploration of how to access the bigger plan God has for you, we turn to the life of the Apostle Paul as detailed in Acts 9 and his letters throughout the New Testament. Paul's dramatic transformation from a persecutor of Christians to one of the most influential apostles illustrates the profound reality that God has a unique plan for each individual. often revealed through moments of radical change and directed actions rooted in passion and purpose. Paul, originally known as Saul of Tarsus, was fervently zealous for the Jewish law, believing he was defending his faith by persecuting Christians. However, on the road to Damascus, Saul had an encounter with the risen Christ that changed everything. A blinding light enveloped him, and he fell to the ground, hearing the voice of Jesus asking, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Acts 9:4. This powerful moment illustrates the startling ways in which God can break into our lives and redirect our paths. This story communicates a vital lesson. God can turn our lives upside down to align us with His purpose. When we allow ourselves to be open to change, we position ourselves to hear His voice more clearly, even when it disrupts our expectations. After this encounter, Saul, now Paul, was led into the city, where he embraced a period of reflection and preparation. It is essential to recognize that transformation often involves a process of renewal. Paul spent time in prayer and fellowship, where he learned to connect with God on a deeper level. This highlights the significance of creating a foundation grounded in spiritual practices and community, allowing us to fully embrace our identities and purpose. During this transformative period, God spoke to Ananias, instructing him to seek out Paul. Despite his apprehensions, Ananias obeyed and found Paul, laying hands on him and restoring his sight. Through this act of obedience, Ananias participated in God's bigger plan, showcasing how we are often called to support and guide one another in our spiritual journeys. This reinforces the idea that recognizing God's voice includes the community of believers around us, those who can help us discern and fulfill our divine purpose. As Paul began his ministry, he traveled extensively, preaching the gospel, establishing churches, and writing letters that continue to encourage believers. Today, his passion for spreading the message of Christ was ignited not merely by his previous knowledge of the law, but by the transformative encounter with Jesus that filled him with purpose beyond measure. Paul's journey encourages us to pursue what ignites our hearts wholeheartedly. When we align our actions with our passions, we amplify our connection to God, allowing His purpose to flourish in our lives. Reflect on this. What ignites a fire within you? What passions urge you to leap into action? These desires often point to the very plan God has for you. In discerning your purpose, take time to consider how your skills, passions, and experiences align with God's call. God designed you uniquely, and your journey is part of a greater story that can touch the lives of many. Embrace the concept that your experiences, whether past failures or triumphs, prepare you for the life you are called to lead. Paul's letters often remind us to run with endurance, Hebrews 12:1, in our race of faith. This implies that pursuing God's purpose is not always an easy path, but one that requires discipline, clarity, and steadfastness in the face of challenges. As you navigate your divine calling, may you find strength in knowing that God is with you, equipping you for every good work. Furthermore, let Paul's story teach you about the importance of perseverance. When challenges arise in pursuing your passions or fulfilling your purpose, remember Paul's experiences. He faced persecution, imprisonment, and hardship, yet he remained committed to the calling God placed upon his life. As we wrap up this section, consider how you will embrace transformation in your own life. Allow God to reveal areas where you need to focus, grow, and take intentional steps toward fulfilling your purpose. Like Paul, trust that God has equipped you with everything necessary to step into your calling and be a vessel of His love and grace. Prepare to explore more examples in the next section of individuals whose lives were intricately woven into God's bigger plan. Recognize that each journey is unique, but together they display the transformative power of following one's divine purpose with passion and obedience. To further understand how to access the larger plan God has for you, we will explore the parable of the talents, found in Matthew 25 to 14:30. This parable is a profound lesson on using the gifts God has entrusted to us, putting our skills and passions into action to fulfill His divine purpose in our lives. It teaches us that recognizing and acting on our talents is essential for stepping into the greater plan God has for each of us. In the parable, a master entrusts 3 servants with different amounts of money, 5, 2, and 1 talent, before embarking on a journey. Each servant is given resources based on their abilities, indicating that God equips us according to our unique capacities. It's essential to realize that your talents, abilities, and passions are not mere coincidences. They are divine gifts, bestowed upon you to be developed and shared. When the master returns, he evaluates what each servant has done with the talents given to them. The first 2 servants, who received 5 and 2 talents respectively, work diligently to double their investments. They act with courage and initiative, demonstrating that they understand the responsibility associated with their gifts. Importantly, their elevated emotions of joy and excitement about their talents manifest into tangible results, a clear indication that they are aligned with the master's intentions. However, the third servant, who received 1 talent, takes a different approach. Out of fear, he buries the talent in the ground, neglecting to put it to use. When the master returns, he expresses disappointment. "You wicked and slothful servant, you ought to have invested my money with the bankers." Matthew 25, 26, 27. His actions reflect a critical lesson. Fear and inaction can prevent us from recognizing and accessing God's bigger plan. This story invites us to reflect on how we utilize our own gifts in our lives. Are we actively engaging with the passions that ignite our spirits, or are we held back by fear or doubt? God has placed the seeds of purpose within each of us. What can we do today to nurture that purpose and allow it to flourish? Moreover, the parable emphasizes that the genuine measure of success in God's kingdom is not based solely on outcomes, but on our faithfulness in using what we have. The master commends the first 2 servants for their faithfulness, saying, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Matthew 25:23. This affirmation illustrates that God desires our willingness to act on our passions, regardless of the visible results. When we engage with what ignites us, we are participating in His greater plan, producing fruit that aligns with His kingdom. As each servant was entrusted based on their abilities, similarly, it is vital to recognize your unique gifts. Spend time in prayer and reflection, asking God to reveal what talents and passions He has placed within you. What activities fill your heart with joy? What causes resonate deeply with your spirit? To truly understand where God is leading you, consider starting a personal inventory of your gifts. Create a list of your skills, interests, and what elevates your spirit. This exercise will guide you toward opportunities where you can serve and grow within God's greater plan. Additionally, it's important to remember that engaging in acts of service, using your talents, not only benefits others, but also enriches your spiritual journey. When you use your gifts in love, you enter into a deeper connection with God, understanding your role within the tapestry of His purpose. In conclusion, the parable of the talents encourages us to embrace our God-given gifts and take action toward fulfilling the greater purpose He has for us. Through faithfulness, courage, and a commitment to serve, we align ourselves with God's plans, making a positive impact in our lives and the lives of those around us. As we move to the next section, carry with you the lessons from this parable. Remember that recognizing and acting upon your talents is crucial for accessing God's bigger plan. Prepare to explore how other biblical figures exemplified the guidance and courage required to fulfill God's divine purpose in their lives. As we delve deeper into understanding how to access the bigger plan God has for you, let's explore the Great Commission recorded in Matthew 28:16-20. This pivotal moment signifies not only a farewell from Jesus, but also a powerful call to action for all believers. It encapsulates the essence of what it means to step into God's larger plan and purpose, embracing our role as active participants in his mission. In this passage, after his resurrection, Jesus appears to his disciples and commissions them with the words, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit." Matthew 28:18-19. This command reinforces that God desires his followers to engage actively with the world, sharing the love and teachings of Christ. What's significant about this moment is that it goes beyond mere instructions. It is an invitation to fulfill a purpose that aligns with God's overarching plan for humanity. Here lies an affirmation that when you engage with your faith, whether through sharing God's message, serving others, or living a life that reflects his love, you are stepping into a divine purpose that echoes through eternity. Reflect on this. Have you considered how God might be calling you to fulfill the Great Commission in your own sphere of influence? This does not necessarily mean traveling to distant lands, but may include relationships in your daily life, workplaces, or communities. It showcases that everyone has a role to play in sharing God's love and grace. The Great Commission also speaks to the importance of empowerment and authority. Jesus emphasizes, "All authority has been given to me." With this affirmation, we understand that we do not go on our own strength, but with the authority and backing of Christ himself. It means that when you feel that stirring in your heart to take action or to share God's message, you can trust that he empowers you for the task at hand. As Jesus states, "Behold, I am with you always, to the end of the age." Matthew 28:20. These words serve as a comforting reminder that God's presence accompanies us in all endeavors. When we follow what ignites our spirits, we align ourselves with the divine, allowing God to work through us to reach others. Engaging in God's mission awakens a sense of purpose that reflects love, compassion, and grace. Consider the ways you might cultivate opportunities for outreach in your life. This may involve getting involved in community service, mentoring someone in your church, or sharing your testimony. Each action infused with love acts as a beacon of hope, drawing others into God's light. Additionally, living out the Great Commission requires an expansive understanding of God's love. Just as Jesus reached out to all people, no matter their status, background, or past, so too are we called to embody that love in our lives. Embracing inclusivity and compassion opens our hearts to those whom God seeks to reach through us, allowing us to play a role in transforming lives. Moreover, recognize that the journey of fulfilling God's plan is one of growth and learning. There will be challenges and obstacles. However, it is essential to view these experiences as opportunities for personal and spiritual development. When we face difficulties in our efforts to live out God's purpose, we gain strength, resilience, and a clearer understanding of his workings in our lives. As we conclude this section, let the Great Commission inspire you to take active steps in accessing the larger plan God has for you. Remember that your call includes sharing his love and making a difference in the lives of others. As you align with your passions and gifts, you become an instrument for his message, fulfilling the divine purpose intended for you. Prepare your heart for the next section, where we will explore additional biblical examples of individuals who embrace their God-given callings with courage and faith, following the path that ultimately led to incredible impacts in their communities. As we continue our exploration of how to access the bigger plan God has for you, let us consider the calling of the 12 disciples. The stories of these ordinary men becoming extraordinary leaders in the early church illuminate the essence of what it means to respond to God's voice and step boldly into one's purpose. Their journeys exemplify the transformative power of committing to follow God's call despite uncertainty and challenges. In Matthew 4:18-20, we see how Jesus calls his first disciples, Peter and Andrew, while they are fishing. He simply says, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." This invitation is profound. It indicates that God doesn't just seek followers, he aims to transform our identity and purpose. They immediately leave their nets and follow him, demonstrating a level of faith and responsiveness that many of us aspire to achieve. The prompt to follow carries immense weight, emphasizing that responding to God's call means leaving behind what is familiar. To access the larger plan God has for your life, it often requires stepping out of your comfort zone and embracing the unknown. Think about Peter and Andrew's decision. In a single moment, they abandoned their livelihoods to pursue something far greater than themselves, a divine purpose that would impact the world for generations to come. Throughout their time with Jesus, the disciples learned to listen to his teachings and observe his example. They witnessed miracles, received profound insights, and were equipped to spread the gospel. Their significant growth in faith showcases that knowing your purpose is usually a journey, one that flourishes with time and experience. Challenges were abundant. The disciples often struggled with doubts and fears. For instance, Peter, who walked on water toward Jesus, later faced fear when he denied knowing him during the crucifixion. Yet even in their moments of weakness, Jesus offered grace and restoration, emphasizing that our journey towards fulfilling God's purpose is not about perfection. It is about continual growth and reliance on him. In John 20:21, after the resurrection, Jesus reaffirms their purpose by saying, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I am sending you." This commissioning demonstrates that the disciples were not merely followers. They were entrusted with a mission that extended to spreading the gospel and establishing the church. Their purpose became intertwined with a greater plan that God intended for humanity. As you reflect on the calling of the 12 disciples, consider your own response to God's invitation in your life. What is he asking you to follow? What dreams, passions, or burdens ignite your heart with purpose? The disciples' example illustrates that recognizing your calling often involves audacious faith, taking that first step even when the path is uncertain. To access God's bigger plan, actively seek opportunities to align with your passions. As you engage in activities that reflect your gifts, notice how they stir a sense of excitement and joy within you. Allow these feelings to guide your approach to fulfilling God's purpose. By immersing yourself in areas of service, leadership, or ministry, you create pathways for God's plans to unfold. Additionally, lean into community. The disciples supported and encouraged one another in their mission, showcasing the importance of fellowship in our faith journeys. Seek companions on your path who share a common goal of discovering and fulfilling God's call. Together, you can uplift one another, exchange insights, and recognize the divine movements in your lives. Lastly, be open to the transformative nature of God's purpose for you. Just as the disciples grew into their roles over time, your understanding of your calling may evolve as you walk closely with him. Trust that every experience, whether joyful or challenging, contributes to you growing into the person God has created you to be. As we transition into the next section, let the stories of the 12 disciples inspire you to step out in faith and embrace the divine purpose unfolding in your life. Remember that God is actively inviting you to follow Him into a grander design that calls for your unique contributions and elevates the lives of those around you. As we explore further how to access the bigger plan God has for you, let's turn our attention to the powerful story of Ruth and Naomi, as portrayed in the book of Ruth. This narrative exemplifies the transforming power of loyalty, love, and faith amid adversity. It underscores how our relationships and commitments can lead us toward the divine purpose that God has ordained for our lives. The story begins during a time of famine in Israel, when Naomi, an Israelite widow, and her two daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, find themselves in dire circumstances. After losing her husband and both sons, Naomi decides to return to her homeland. In Bethlehem, she urges her daughters-in-law to remain in Moab, urging them, "Go back each of you to your mother's home." Ruth 1:8. While Orpah ultimately agrees and returns, Ruth displays an extraordinary commitment to Naomi, saying, "Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." Ruth 1:16. This declaration of loyalty highlights the profound bond between them and illustrates a deep conviction to follow what stirred Ruth's heart, a connection born of love and commitment. Ruth's choice to accompany Naomi is pivotal. It's not merely a decision rooted in familial loyalty, it is a testament to her faith. Ruth could have chosen the comfort and familiarity of her home, yet she recognizes that her purpose is intertwined with Naomi's journey. This illustrates an important concept. Aligning your life with the needs and callings of others can often lead you toward discovering your own divine path. As they arrive in Bethlehem, Ruth takes initiative to provide for Naomi and herself by gleaning in the fields of Boaz, a relative of Naomi. Her diligent work and selflessness demonstrate how fulfilling God's plan sometimes involves actively participating in the lives of others. By serving those in need, we often find that God reveals our own purposes alongside theirs. This narrative serves as a profound reminder of how God often imparts His purposes through acts of kindness and loyalty. God's hand is evident in Ruth's life as He leads her to Boaz, who will ultimately become her husband and the means through which her lineage is connected to King David and ultimately to Jesus Christ. This reflects a divine orchestration, where seemingly individual choices culminate in a grander, multidimensional purpose, a lineage fulfilling God's plan for redemption. For us, this begs the question: are we willing to step into the lives of others with love and loyalty? Are we open to being part of their stories while discovering our divine purpose along the way? These qualities strengthen our connection to God and align us with His plan. To engage with this principle, consider how you can demonstrate loyalty and love in your relationships. Whether in family dynamics, friendships, or community engagement, embodying Ruth's compassion and initiative can be transformative. Also, remember the importance of supportive relationships. Just as Ruth committed to Naomi, let us cultivate connections where we encourage one another to recognize our unique callings. Community plays a crucial role in facilitating growth and discovery. It allows us to share insights and understand God's direction collectively. Additionally, seek intentional moments of prayer and reflection, asking God to reveal opportunities where you can serve and support those around you. Your acts of loyalty and love toward others not only reflect divine grace, but also create pathways for God's will to manifest in your life. As we conclude this section, let the story of Ruth and Naomi inspire you to embrace loyalty and love as essential elements in your pursuit of God's bigger plan. Recognize that every act of service and every choice made with courage can lead to beautiful spiritual transformations, not just for you, but for those whose lives you touch along the way. As we transition into the next section, prepare to explore additional inspirational biblical examples of individuals who recognized their purpose through acts of love, commitment, and connection. Their journeys will continue to shed light on accessing the divine plan God has for all of us. In our exploration of how to access the bigger plan God has for you, we turn to the remarkable life of Joseph, found in Genesis 37, 39-45. Joseph's journey is a profound testament to the importance of trust, perseverance, and faith amid adversity. His experiences illustrate that even in the trials and tribulations of life, God is actively working behind the scenes to fulfill his divine purpose. Joseph, the favored son of Jacob, begins his story with dreams of greatness. In his dreams, he sees himself in a position of authority, symbolized by his brothers bowing down to him. However, instead of support, his brothers become jealous and bitter. They conspire against him, ultimately selling him into slavery in Egypt and deceiving their father into believing he has died. Genesis 37:28. Here we see the first major challenge in Joseph's life, betrayal by those closest to him. This moment serves as an essential reminder that our path to purpose is seldom free from hardship. Often, God's plan unfolds amidst the trials we face. Joseph's journey illustrates that even when life takes unexpected turns, maintaining faith in God's promise is crucial. As Joseph finds himself in Egypt, he is purchased by Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. Joseph's integrity and work ethic shine even in servitude, earning him favor and promotion within Potiphar's household. However, just as Joseph begins to find stability, he faces another trial. False accusations from Potiphar's wife, leading to his imprisonment. Genesis 39:20. In this dark moment, Joseph could have succumbed to despair and bitterness, questioning God's plan. Instead, he chooses to maintain his integrity, serve diligently, and trust in God's provision. This embodies the essential truth of accessing God's bigger plan. Your response to adversity defines our journey. Even in prison, Joseph's gifts prevail. He interprets the dreams of Pharaoh's officials, which eventually leads to a moment of divine opportunity. When Pharaoh has troubling dreams that no one can interpret, the chief cupbearer remembers Joseph and recommends him to Pharaoh. Joseph interprets the dreams, foreseeing a coming famine, and embarks on a path to become second in command in Egypt. Genesis 41:46. Joseph's story highlights the importance of patience and perseverance during trials. By embracing each moment, trusting God's plan, and using his unique gifts, Joseph ultimately rises to fulfill his divine purpose. His journey from the pit to the palace demonstrates that every setback can become a setup for greater things when we remain anchored in faith. Reflect on your life. Are there areas where you feel stuck or betrayed? Are you questioning whether the challenges you face are part of God's bigger plan for you? Like Joseph, you may find yourself in waiting periods, yet these times can cultivate resilience and prepare you for the opportunities God has in store. Moreover, Joseph's life reveals the truth that our purpose often extends beyond ourselves. By the end of the story, when famine strikes, Joseph's position enables him to save not only Egypt, but also his own family, those who betrayed him. This gracious reconciliation reflects God's ability to turn our pain into purpose, showcasing that our journey can positively impact those around us. As you navigate the complexities of your purpose, consider the areas where God may be asking you to trust in his plan, even when you don't see the bigger picture. Engage in prayer, asking for insight and guidance as you face life's challenges. What lessons can you glean from your struggles? Additionally, remember that community can provide support during difficult times. Like Joseph, lean into friendships and relationships that encourage and uplift you. Share your dreams and aspirations with trusted individuals who can help you navigate challenges and celebrate victories on your journey. In closing this section, let Joseph's journey inspire you to trust in God's greater plan for your life. Even amid trials, remember that God is at work, weaving a tapestry of purpose that can shape not only your future, but the futures of others. Embrace the belief that, like Joseph, you are being prepared for a greater purpose that can bring light in darkness and hope in despair. As we move forward into the next section, prepare to explore additional biblical figures whose unwavering faith and commitment to God's calling have transformed their lives and impacted the world around them. Each story will inspire and encourage you to recognize and act upon the divine purpose that lies within you. As we delve further into the theme of accessing the bigger plan God has for your life, let's turn our focus to the story of Nehemiah, found in the book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah's journey exemplifies the essence of faithful obedience, passionate purpose, and divine calling. His story teaches us how God's plan can unfold through our willingness to respond to the needs of others and act upon the divine passions placed within our hearts. Nehemiah was a cupbearer to the king in Persia, enjoying a position of influence and security. However, upon hearing news of his homeland Jerusalem's ruins and the distress of his people, Nehemiah was overwhelmed with sorrow. He felt a deep stirring within him, a divine sense of purpose prompting him to take action on behalf of his community. This initial response showcases a vital principle. God often places burdens on our hearts that align with His greater plan for us and others. In prayer, Nehemiah sought God's guidance, fasting and mourning for the plight of his people. He asked for favor with the king, admitting his distress and seeking permission to return to Jerusalem to rebuild its walls. This moment of discernment illustrates the importance of prayer and seeking God's guidance when pursuing His plan. Nehemiah's heartfelt prayers became a foundation for his actions, emphasizing that our communication with God empowers us as we step into our purpose. When the king grants Nehemiah's request, providing him with letters and resources to ensure safe passage, we witness the manifestation of God's favor. Nehemiah's boldness to act on behalf of his people links directly to the journey of fulfilling God's purpose. Confident in God's provision, Nehemiah travels to Jerusalem with a clear mission to rebuild the walls and restore the dignity of his people. Upon his arrival, Nehemiah inspects the ruins at night, assessing the damage and gathering a vision for the work ahead. This scene serves as a reminder that to access the bigger plan, one must first gain clarity on the situation. It's essential to understand the obstacles and needs before embarking on a mission. Nehemiah's careful planning highlights the wisdom of seeking a detailed understanding of God's calling through prayerful consideration. When Nehemiah gathers the people and shares his vision, he inspires them with the hope of renewal. Ashush, people respond saying, "Let us rise up and build." Nehemiah 2:18. This collective willingness showcases how purpose can ignite action within a community. Just as Nehemiah drew upon the passions within each individual, God desires for us to connect with others, uniting our gifts to fulfill His greater plans. However, Nehemiah also faced significant opposition. As he initiated the rebuilding process, adversaries rose to mock and threaten the work. Despite these challenges, Nehemiah remained resolute, responding to the opposition with faith and determination. He encouraged the people of Jerusalem, reminding them that their strength came from God. Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord who is great and awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. Nehemiah 4:14. This illustrates a crucial element in discerning God's purpose, persevering in faith even amid adversity. When pursuing the dreams God has placed in our hearts, we must be prepared to face doubt, criticism, and challenges. Staying focused on the vision and purpose God has given us empowers us to navigate obstacles with resilience and strength. Nehemiah's dedication culminates in the successful rebuilding of the wall in just 52 days, an extraordinary testament to the power of faith and unity. This outcome illuminates the essence of accessing God's plan. When we align our hearts with His purpose, pursue our passions, and work in community with others, divine possibilities come to fruition. As you reflect on Nehemiah's story, consider areas in your own life where God might be prompting you to act, to rise up and build. What desires has He placed within you that call for action? Are there passions you've neglected that urge you to pursue connection, healing, or service? Take time to pray and ask God for clarity on how you can step into your purpose. Like Nehemiah, allow Him to cultivate a vision in your heart that compels you to rally others around a shared mission. As we conclude this section, let Nehemiah's story inspire you to embrace your calling, trusting that with God's guidance and your willingness to act, you can build something beautiful and transformative. Recognize that your actions, no matter how small, contribute to the unfolding of God's divine plan. In the next section, we will explore further biblical figures who exemplified faithful obedience, demonstrating the impact of following God's call on their lives. As we come to the conclusion of our enlightening journey about accessing the bigger plan God has for you, let us reflect on the rich biblical insights we've explored. From the powerful testimonies of Jeremiah and Esther to the faith and action of Nehemiah, each story serves as a profound reminder that God has a unique purpose for your life, and it is often revealed through the passions and desires He has placed within you. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. Your commitment to learning and growing in faith is commendable, and you are part of a select group that has taken the time to deepen their understanding of God's plan. Few people take such a meaningful step in their spiritual journey. It is a testament to your dedication and desire to align closer with God's calling. I encourage you to engage with this journey by commenting below with the phrase, "Embracing my purpose." This simple declaration signifies your intent to actively pursue your divine calling, reflecting your commitment to seek God's voice in all you do. Sharing this message not only reinforces your dedication, but also fosters a sense of community with others who are on similar paths. Be sure to like this video. Your likes help spread this life-changing message, making it accessible to more believers who yearn to discover their purpose in God. Your engagement invites others to experience the transformative power of God's guidance, illuminating their paths as they seek a deeper connection with Him. Many people rely on this content for spiritual support, especially those who may not have access to a close-knit church community. Your active participation creates a nurturing environment where everyone can feel supported in their spiritual journey. Encourage fellow viewers to comment. Peace in Christ. As a sign of our collective commitment to following God's plan. As you reflect on the insights shared, remember that your journey is just beginning. Keep in mind that the exploration of your purpose may hold keys to unlocking profound blessings in your life. Therefore, lean into the emotions that ignite your spirit. Recognize that feelings of joy, love, and excitement are indicators that you are aligned with God's purpose. Avoid letting fear or doubt deter you from stepping out in faith. Embrace the activities that light you up and commit to taking daily actions that resonate with those passions. Your deeper desires are not coincidental. They are designed by God to keep you connected to His divine purpose. Nurture these desires and explore how they can lead you to serve and bless others, amplifying your connection to God. Additionally, if you sometimes feel as though your prayers are unanswered or that you are asking in the wrong way, I invite you to look in the description of this video for a powerful hidden tool, a code that will teach you the appropriate way to invoke the divine and manifest God's blessings in your life. Before we part ways, I encourage you to take a moment of silence and reflect on your day, the emotions you've experienced, and the lessons learned. Allow yourself a few minutes to embrace the peace created by God's presence and offer words of gratitude and praise for His guidance. Thank you for being a part of this enlightening study today. May you step boldly into the bigger plan that God has for you, embracing every opportunity to express love and live out your purpose. Keep seeking, keep listening, and let God's voice guide you along the path He has uniquely crafted for you. Until next time, walk in faith and remember, you are supported, loved, and destined for greatness in His divine plan.